Boy, oh boy, are there a lot of things that were hidden in the most recent trailer for Generation 10 Winds and Waves. And I'm going to break it all down for you guys right here in this video, so strap in. If you guys are stoked about the new generation, be sure to leave a comment down below which starter you guys are picking, which we'll get to later in this video. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new so you don't miss out on our epic Pokemon content. I also want to mention my clothing line Team Shiny just dropped amazing new designs. These are nuts. The 30th anniversary shirt. We've got tons of new shiny designs for your favorite Pokemon and more. You can use promo code WINS or promo code WAVES to get 30% off your purchase if you pick up 3 shirts or more. So rep the sickest shirts, Team Shiny. Rep it in a big way at teamshiny.com. All right, so let's dive into everything. First and foremost, I want to highlight that the starters leaked on an image board a few weeks ago. PD Trio, slimy, large bulbous tail, deep purple eyes, almost feminine, thick green brow, little dark feet, almost like an angry baby, puffy front side, tongue constantly out. This was February 13th. This got posted by Central Leaks. Absolutely nuts. I think that's super crazy. And I also wanted to highlight that on February 11th, Light posted a Squirrel Chef style Pokemon and an Electric Ghost Pokemon themed around sound or speakers. There was some crazy leaks earlier in February, and we covered them here on the channel, so you just never know. One of the many reasons why you want to be locked into the channel here. But let's break down this trailer, because the first 50 seconds, they start off by just showing Pikachu in different regions. And then we get to meet Mr. Windy Chew and Miss Wavy Chew, rather, which the websites do indicate that they'll play some sort of role throughout the games. These are super cute, and I love that they're naming the Pokemon like this, like Mosslack, Smearguru, and now Windy Chew and Wavy Chew. So that's pretty sweet there. The opening shot is going to take you through a nice set of beautiful islands. You've got a huge water environment. You've got a raft-like structure in the middle with a bunch of umbrellas. There may be some stalls there where you can buy various Pokemon goods. From there, we've got some scenes of the new windmill, and it looks like it's not going to be 5 FPS. So I think this game coming out on the Switch 2 is going to be a really big deal. Excited for that, and I think it's going to be a huge game changer. The game in general looks so beautiful in my opinion. We've got returning Pokemon, Gloom, Tropius, Wailmer, Wailord. A lot of really cool Pokemon throughout this. I'll have another video where I break down kind of everything we see in terms of new Pokemon. We've got this weird building shot here. It almost looks like an octopus in a little bit of a way. But this is probably the resort that the player stays at based on the leaks. This also could have some representation of maybe the Waves box legendary, how this structure is built. There may be some insignia of the legendaries built into the top part of the tower and the bottom part of the tower. But it looks really cool, honestly. I think it's pretty sweet. Worth noting that there's like a red Pokeball style object up in the top left corner there. And then you've got some Pacific Dialogue Town style islands, almost like the Maldives in a way, like where you're out on these kind of like planked wood resort huts. A lot you can actually digest from this image. Then you get our first look at our pro tags. It's worth noting that they don't have the necklace on them that we saw in the early leaks. That may be indicative of them being early game and maybe not having the key mechanic, which we'll talk about later. The kind of icon for what we're believing to be Majin, this game's version of Mega Evolution. Worth noting there's some writing on the walls. It seems to be gibberish. It's using the Galar alphabet from what we can tell, but nothing too crazy there. We've got Talo and Nimble, some Pokemon I'm really excited about. And of course, that big red Pokeball in the background. Very, very evident there. That may be some sort of Pokemon Center. You can see it from afar. It looks like there is a building underneath it. And then you've got this interesting lantern-style device sitting on the side of the route. I wonder if that's like you put food in it and then maybe Pokemon get attracted to it, the different biomes, or maybe it's just a lantern at nighttime, but I think there's a lot of potential there. Then we get our first look at the Pokemon Center and the shops. And it looks really cool. There's not a ton that we can glean from this, but you've got the different shop icon. You've got the Pokemon Center. You got Nurse Joy for the first time. I don't really see anything super crazy here. There's that purple sign in the background, but nothing too nuts. But it does look really cool. I'm quite excited for the Pokemon Center. It looks really nice in my opinion. And then we ended up seeing this really cool forest shot. And I think one of the biggest highlights for me in this trailer was seeing the diversity of the biomes. We've got Tangela. We've got Oddish. Love seeing all these different Pokemon. We switch over to a really cool wave shot where the waves are really moving. And then the distance, you see those umbrellas again and those floating Pokeballs. So maybe those are key like stop points. It's probably just a waypoint type system. And then again, you've got these different island type huts, which again looks like Pacific Log Town. Really cool. I'm super stoked on the biomes. And Letty In making it in. I'm a big fan of that. And the lush kind of environments that we're seeing here. And then we see this magma biome, which is sick. Sizzlepede and Slugma fitting right in there. That is beautiful. Honestly, the graphics impress me so far, especially considering they have a year to cook, right? Like, that's such a big deal. And then we switch to this scene with Pikachu, which doesn't look totally like the leaked model we saw, so that's quite peculiar, but it does have a new battle stance. The catching mechanic seems pretty similar, but it does have a pretty big visual upgrade from what we can tell in terms of just the animation playing when you're capturing the Pokemon. And then this is probably one of my favorite shots in the trailer, is these Wingulls floating above this coral reef. One thing I noticed is that in various shots, you can actually see Pokemon through the water. Like, you'll see them swimming underwater, which we'll get to. You've got the nice Krabby and Sandy Gas, so lots of nice diversity of biomes. I love seeing the moon in the background as well. Looks very good. And then Marini and Corsola, we see Toxapex later on in the trailer. These two are really fun, especially seeing them on the beach together. We know that Marini like to hunt Corsola, so that creates like a really interesting dynamic that I'm quite excited about. And then the swamp shot shown in Carnivine and Temple, again, big emphasis on multi-biomes, environments. And this is the shot also, you'll see that Temple kind of under the water. The Duskull shot that comes next is quite interesting. You've got this building behind it with Slowking displayed on it, indicating that, Slowbro's line is most likely into the game. And then there's like a pattern that's hanging off the top. And I'm curious if that pattern is representative of a Pokemon in some way. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, another moonshot looking cool in the background. And then there's that like purple kind of area on the left-hand side of the screen. A little unclear what that is. It looks like it might just be a lamp with some light shining down, but we'll have to wait and see. Then, of course, we shift over to our starters. And I gotta be real, my first take on the starters was pretty meh. The Brout, the grass type starter, I'm not a big fan of, but I actually have pretty high hopes for its evolution. I've seen some really interesting posts on social media. I'm gonna make a separate video on this too, but some really cool potential region-wise in terms of what that can turn into. Pombon is growing on me tremendously. I'm gonna be real. Now that I see it more, it's growing me a lot. I'm liking it a lot more, and I think there's really good potential on this evolution. And I was Team Gekwa the second I saw it. It was my favorite one by far. I'm really excited to see what it turns into. Komodo Dragon, maybe, but I'm quite excited for them. I think that they're growing on me a lot. Brout, I do not understand, but they are growing me a lot. And on that topic, Brout is determined to be the Bean Chick Pokemon. This Pokemon runs around energetically while photosynthesizing using leaves on its brow. It's lively, but it could also be a bit clumsy. Pombon is the puppy Pokemon. The area below its throat glows faintly from the heat-generating organ within its lungs. This Pokemon is guileless and friendly. I could see it turning into like a big Mastiff type of dog or something. And then Gekwa is the water gecko Pokemon. It launches springy balls of water from its tail. Gekwa is very intelligent and maneuvers shrewdly while putting on airs. So very excited for the starters. Like I said, they're growing on me. My first take was I wasn't super stoked on them, but they're definitely growing on me quite a bit. And then we kind of move over to some of the last shots here. We've got that serpent in the top right corner. The thought is that is actually related to like the raid mechanic in this game. But it almost looks like a Gyarados a little bit in the sky, but apparently that has to do with the raid mechanic based on some of the leaks that we've seen so far. So we'll have to wait and see how that kind of turns out. The underwater shot is just beautiful. Like the idea that we're going to be able to dive underwater is something that I'm super stoked about. You see the Wailords there. You've got the Luminions, the Marini Toxapex. Looking really good. And then the logos. And of course, the English logos don't leave much to be determined. Those are growing on me as well. I like the Winds logo more. The Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive is really key. I would say that if you're looking to play this game, getting a Switch sooner than later probably makes sense. Because I do think that there's a chance that they get hard to get if the chip shortages continue. But when you look at the Japanese logos, that's where things really shine. There's a new icon symbol there that is most likely associated with the Majin mechanic or the key mechanic in the game, similar to Mega Evolution. So that's something to keep an eye out on. And then just a couple other pieces of information that you might have missed. The website is going to talk about basically how you're going to explore these beautiful windswept islands and vast ocean with glittering waves that ebb and flow. And it says the Pokemon that live in harmony with this region's lush environment have developed their own unique ecosystem. So by visiting these islands, you're sure to open the door to a brand new adventure that can only be found here. So some really great insight there from the website, which I was quite excited to see. The game looks beautiful. Like that's my biggest takeaway so far. The protagonists also revealed they have different clothing outfits based on if you're playing Winds or Waves. I do think the Winds characters look better personally. I'm much more of a fan of the Winds characters and the coloration of their hats and just the design there, but they're relatively similar. There's going to be some small changes between these characters based on the game you play. I would say I'm Team Winds at this moment in time, but that's what I'm feeling. And you notice the small board held on by the male character. We believe that's going to be like the Rotom scooter of the game. You're going to be able to kind of traverse with that. So that's your breakdown. I've been kind of mulling over this trailer for a while today. It's growing on me. I'm a little surprised on the 2027 release date, as I made clear, but I think it's a good thing, right? More time to cook, more time for them to polish this game, and maybe these leaks ultimately resulted in some changes, but overall, I would say the starters are certainly growing on me. I'm feeling a lot better about their reveals. Pombon is definitely growing on me, but I'm Gekwa all day, every day. It's not even close. And I'm excited, man. So I hope you guys are as well. Make sure you guys check out Team Shiny. We got amazing new designs available. You can use code WINS or code WAVES to get 30% off if you pick up 3 shirts or more. And these designs are so fire. So go check them out. And thanks so much for watching this video.